we've not had to do that, I don't think, this year. Maybe one time if we have. Anyway, the town is generally stable in terms of financial condition. We have sufficient funds to meet our current needs. Given that the larger appropriations are mostly one-time expenditures, we don't feel like this will pose a problem with the town's long-term financial stability. Moving on to page 4, we have a list of some of the items that we like to make sure council is aware of that are in the budget, and I think we might want to talk about some of these. So page 4 and 5 is where we're at now. Just going through some of the items I think are worth noting. We did include, and I think I sent a memo to council, a 5% staff increase for raises, and they're mentioned above it. That is a breakdown of 2% COLA raises. That was done in an agreement that the manager meetings had. All the managers in the area, the MSA get together once a month. During our discussions, it was talked about that either a 2 or 3% COLA raise was given for inflation. 2% was the majority, so that's what I included in this one. Then 3% was merit-based. That's based on the increase. Went from one full-time or one part-time maintenance person to full-time. The increase in the projects. I can go through that list later, but anyway, there is a 5% increase listed. Again, we can talk about that. Council makes their opinion. We had a 7.37% decrease. Sorry, I'm running out of lubrication. A 3.7% decrease in health insurance premium for full-time employees. We had an 11.4% increase in property and liability insurance premiums. The existing retirement rate will go up from, on the town side, from 10.15% to 11.35%. Then going on down, the following new and more significant budget items include a 3.6% increase for garbage collection fee that was sent over by Republic. They're the ones who they called it a index increase. Pretty typical. The Western Piedmont Council Government Planning Contract. Planning contract went up slightly. That exact number for the planning contract went from $23,208 to $23,672. It was a 2% increase for $464. And then the code enforcement contract actually dropped $3,372 and went from $18,981 to $15,609 for a percentage of 17.7 decrease. Overall, so we're better off this year than last year, about $2,900 between both the planning contract and the code enforcement. The audit went down because of the sale of the sewer system. All the other amounts we talked about, economic development for $25,000, sheriff's deputy, REACT, HHDA for the Festivals Day, $18,000 for maintenance on page 5 for rental facilities, $5,000. This is something we talked about last year, was adding lockers and a door to, adding lockers to 2 different areas of the gym. We talked about this during the CIP. We did not order the lockers for that room given the fact that the facility shut down. We didn't want to go ahead and do that, given the fact that we did not want them to be shut down. There's a spot for 2 different, I don't know if we remember talking about this, but 2 different locker room areas for the teams to take their people either during half times or to change during games, before games and after games. Providing some lockers for that, so that's been included. We had $13,204 for our economic development match grants that we talked about with Allenwood, Burke County, and Burke Development Incorporated. Going on down, you'll see the $80,000 for the sidewalk project. That's the main Avenue East project. Possible 80-20 grant match. We would have on the books to spend 84, but 64 of that would be refundable revenues from the last program. Ultimately, we would end up spending 16 of the 80. The other 64 would be matched. Moving on down, we did include $15,000 for a maintenance vehicle. We talked about that at the budget retreat over the Gator. I think council was in favor of the truck instead of the Gator, so we put in $15,000 for it. This is a carryover from last year, $4,000 to restain the pavilion and the deck of the depot. $3,000 for restaining the stamped concrete at the park. That's been put in. We had some complaints on it. $3,000. These were a little more pricey than we realized, but a wheelchair swing, I know council voted to approve that, but it didn't want to point it out in the budget. Those are somewhere between $2,000 to $3,000. So we got that in the budget. Yeah, it's much more expensive than a regular swing, but. And then $5,000, when we went through the Parks and Rec plan, one of the things Aaron Shoddy, the grant writer for us, noticed was that all of our playground equipment had barriers where there is no entrance for ADA accessibility. So we've included, we don't know the cost yet. We've even got one playground feature that's come up out of the ground. What it was set in the cement, it's even come up. It evidently wasn't even installed correctly to begin with. So we put in $5,000 for, accessibility and some fixes of the park. But with all that being said, and the uncertainty of the economic circumstances, the budget has taken a conservative approach to spending. Now, you're probably looking at $1.6 million over 1.9 last year, 900,000, thinking, how are we being conservative? But if you look at that, of that 1,660,000, 600,000 that is going to be your park project. The expenditures are at 579. So that eats up the majority of that increase right there, just in and of itself. Again, you've got the $60,000, which eats up the other 60 for the sidewalk project. And then again, you've got, the general expenses, the general government, $399, public safety, $83, public works, $54, building and grounds, $121, and special appropriations, which include nonprofits, HHDA, that was $21.8, park expenses, which are in line with just about every other year, $35, $358, economic development, and then the other financial uses, which are the things we've talked about for the projects, is $691. So we did budget our revenues a little conservatively, but we feel like this year the town will, hopefully, if our budget projections are correct, even with the $64,000 we spent on the CIP project, the town should come in somewhere around $140,000 above our expenditures this year. We came in about $200,000 above last year. So you won't see those type of savings this year, but again, that's because we're looking to do projects instead of just year-over-year stuff. Town bill allocation, we have appropriated fund balance of $67,000. These are not for projects in particular, but just to allocate them for projects we may need. Town bill allocation of $44,000, appropriated fund balance $67,000 for a total of $111,000. And Councilmember Honeycutt made me aware that we've gotten some people from Hollywood Court who have asked for their street to be repaid. We did check in with Tom Petit, the engineer who oversees that. Holly Ridge Court is, based on the last classification of all of our streets, it would be the first one in terms of the grade. It was the lowest remaining grade that we didn't do during the last project. So that would be one of the first ones at the top of the list to repay. He did mention something in the email that there was a dispute over who actually owns that street. I have not dug into that 100% yet. I did look at the state's secondary road map, which does include municipal owned streets, county streets, and that is listed on their website. But Mr. Keith from West Consultants mentioned that at some point in the town's history there was a dispute over that, and there was not something settled. I don't know anything about that, but if that is something we needed to do, that could be included in that $111,000. And again, asphalt resurfacing and patching was put in at $76,000. So if we do need to do that, we can vet that more, bring that back to council next month, make a budget amendment to expend it, or give me the authority to expend it to do that street, but that's something the council will probably want to approve. Okay, on the page 3 of the actual budget, economic development reserve, we do this every year. We transfer $25,000 from the general fund into the economic development fund, and then we appropriate that down into the future economic development. That's at $9,700. Transfer back to the general fund of $15,208. that $9,000 number should be the number that's with the economic development match grants that we have.
Well, the 15,000 includes the VEDIC and the 3 match grants with the county. 9796 is actually undesignated at this point for available.
Okay,
Well,
so
there's more than that available, of course, but.
yeah, 997 of what we're appropriating this year at 25. But again, we've got I believe it's over 200,000 in the economic development.
Yes.
Tax rate, we have to establish the tax rate every year. Obviously, no increase, no changes. It's 15 cents for every $100 of assessed value for such property. Obviously, we'd look to adopt it next month. I think because of the way things are done, we're gonna have to meet twice next month. Is that correct or not?
If Ben attends, then we will only have to have one meeting.
Okay, so as long as all of our council are present, not
Right.
attending.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it's a remote meeting, I think you might have even seen it in the Western Piedmont Cog Policy Board meeting email. For some reason, the way the state statutes are written, if it's considered at all a remote meeting, you cannot pass your budget in the same night. It's gotta be 24 hours later. So for us, if we are planning on doing a remote meeting, that's something we probably want to know about now. That way we can figure out if we need to plan 2 meetings next month, at least 24 hours apart, or just one.
One's better than 2.
Yes.
But the regular meeting's on Monday the 28th, correct?
June 28th. Yeah,
So-
work on that.
Let's get a team if we had to do it 2 meetings, because we have to either do it Tuesday or Wednesday. And I'm not gonna be available for either day.
Well, I mean, that's just a good question. I mean, right now, does everyone plan to attend in person next month?
Yeah.
Okay, so we, 28 should be fine.
Okay.
I believe now what we have to do is call a public hearing and leave that open. But the public comment.
Yes, 7C, so we're calling for a public hearing for next month's meeting. We need to make a vote on that. Motion to state the date, time, and location of the public hearing.
So,
So we're gonna say what, the 28th at 7:15?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You just made the motion.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. All in
Do
favor?
you want me to formally say it?
No, we got come.
We cleaned it up, you're good.
All in favor?
Thank
you. Good. Okay.
Thought that was right.
7D, May facilities report. That's in the packet. Comment on that? Okay. E, April tax report. That's in your packet. 7F, deputy report. Deputy Howard is recovering from his, he put his foot up somebody's.
The rear? Do you have a choppy?
His foot hurts anyway. His foot's broken.
She broke his foot?
Could have been an older injury. He said he had a piece of.
it's a piece of a bone that's broke off the heel.
Oh, jeez.
Impact the area of the
So it could have been recent or it could have been wrong. It's better.
basically, you need to ask him when he's the boots procedure. Just go from there.
All right, committee reports. Technical coordinating committee,
No update right now.
transportation advisory committee,
No, they were.
Western Piedmont policy board, that's tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow night will be going, and I sent out an agenda to everyone today.
Okay, thanks. Burke Economic Development,
I'll send out an email, which is kind of updated later this evening, so, yeah, I mean, I know a few things, I think, Reverend, you might want to comment on this, I think we approved a new family, partner community in Wilmington. Homes Urban Development, I think is what it is. So I think they're changing the healthcare, Blue Ridge Healthcare to UNC Health. So,
That should make a difference.
yeah, nothing major, but I'll send that update out as soon as I get it this evening.
And the water tower is going up over the Burke. Park.
the Burke Park, and it's been,
They gotta put the top on it. I see it every day when I go.
Opportunity Friends has bought more property, Industrial Commons has bought more property, the old, Morgan plant, or Biotex has been bought and won't be redeveloped as an industrial incubator.
Oh,
So things are popping pretty good.
Yes.
There've been a couple of school properties that have been put under contract, tenant contract, with BDI for redeployment or repurposing as, housing. So, at least that's what I've been told, Allenwood and some other stuff involved, so it looks like things are moving nicely in the right direction.
Recreation,
Let's do
water resource, Vedic,
we meet Thursday
okay, and
in
library,
person.
library board, the, couple of meetings this month. Okay. Other business.
Oh.
We have to the agenda.
Okay, which we doing first? The planning board? Okay. We have, one of the ladies to move out of town. So we have to fill that.
And this position would just be to fulfill Ashley's term, which would go through June 30th of 2022. And then, so we'd still have another position that's available when Clyde's term ends June 30th of this year. So that's a 1-year term. So if we were to get another applicant, there's one available. So if you know anybody, we're still looking for another person.
All right, it's a pleasure to council.
How many people are on board? On the planning board?
5. Right now we have 4 with 1 vacant.
There's 5 slots on there.
And 2 alternates.
How long was
One.
the,
One alternate.
how long was the application process, or how long was the application?
We put it on Facebook last week, just when we found out, and we haven't heard anything.
So it's only been up in a week?
Yeah, but from experience,
Unless someone finds us someone, I don't think you're gonna have someone volunteer. I mean, no problem leaving it open if that's the wish of the council. It's just one of those things.
Leave it up.
I don't see any reason. I mean, I don't feel like a week is long enough, because I mean, even if we were putting in a position for a position, to work on staff, a week's not
Put it on
enough.
something, on Facebook, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
like,
I don't know, I'm just saying advertise somewhere besides Facebook. If I read something on Facebook, I automatically think it's a lie.
No, we didn't do any job.
That's all it is, but it's lies.
Maybe the town website, media, put it out in the paper.
Yeah, let them put it on her agenda or whatever.
We may have to,
Put it out temporary staff and anywhere.
and we can send it out to the paper. We'll probably have to pay for that advertisement.
What about the sign?
That would be a free way to advertise it.
You can go and sign, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So how long,
And the website.
until next month? Well, I guess the application window needs to close, say a week before the next meeting, so that'll be the 21st of June.
That will, you might want, we have to get depending on how you want it, we have to get the packets out a week beforehand, so you may want to close it the week prior to the agenda packet.
14th.
That would just give us time to go through it, put it in the.
Because then hopefully we can fill both positions all at the same time. All right. So do I need to make a motion or do we just, okay, well, I'll make a motion to leave the window open until June 14th.
All right, all in favor? Thank you. Then, consider approval of amended animal agreement.
We Resident, you wanna
Yeah,
chime in?
the county's been working on this ordinance, had a very detailed ordinance. There were some folks that were hunter breeders that were not happy with some aspects of it. So the county adopted part of it, mostly with tetting and retaining animals, and they're gonna come back at a later time after they put some part on board. So I would suggest we go ahead and pass, our ordinance to be congruent with the county's ordinance, which is what we have now. And then they do the hunting part of the ordinance, we'll go back and adopt that or also, so we'll take the rules now.
Okay, what is this saying? I mean, about the people's pets and how
Yeah,
they are
well,
retained?
well, the
We're already
big,
under the ordinance.
yeah, they've already got orders, there's some about tethering, that they won't be tethering animals within 12 hours without shelter, shit, all that kind of stuff. But then they had the hunting dogs, you can be treated different than household dogs. And I have some familiarity with that because many of you remember Coach Huffman, who hired Fire Beast County here many times, would also take me rabbit hunting, and I have to go help him get his rabbit dog. So I got a real affinity for the difference between a rabbit dog that runs all over McDowell County looking for rabbits and having a fat lawyer run after them, and a regular household dog. So they pulled the hunting dogs off right now.
So we're gonna wait till they fix it.
Yeah, I will go ahead and pass what you got now, about the tethering and all that kind of stuff. That's a very emotional issue for animal lovers to go out to, animal chain out in the sun and all that kind of stuff. So they've changed that, so we might as well keep it good. It may take a while before we get a hunting thing.
So go ahead and.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment.
I will too.
Okay, all in favor? Fine, thank you.
Oh, and that it goes into the code of ordinance.
And then it goes into the court.
Okay, y'all voted for that too, right?
Yes.
That's good, thank you. All right. That's all the amendments to the agenda, correct? Okay, now other business? All right, announcements? All right, then I guess we'll go into closed session.
I'll make the motion to go into closed session for personnel.
We had the,
He'll be right back.
Yeah. okay, yeah. We'll wait. If you go to the bathroom.
Oh. Can we go and vote?
Yeah.
Yes, you do need to vote.
Okay, let's vote. All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Gary Knight is proof that he's running out of gold. And you get more mature.
Yeah, don't leave it
I
on the floor.
can assure what you're saying. I resemble that remark.